Dr. Shawn Talbott, welcome back to the Ultra Rare Life podcast. Man, I am so excited and stoked to have you and to share the next big release that has just been released.
Yeah.
So listen, let's deep dive right into it. Welcome back, Dr. Shawn.
Let's do it. It's great to be with you, Sarah.
Gosh, this one, I have to say, this new product that you just launched out in New York caught me by surprise personally. It is something that I felt wasn't so sure on at first. And I did my own deep dive investigation on it and had the privilege of being on this product along with Derek for weeks before of the release. And I have to say, it's unbelievable. So let's talk about Ignite, the new product. And Dr. Shawn, tell everybody, do you feel like this is one of your best pieces of work yet?
Yeah, well, it's one of those products that it's that so many people need it, and so many people don't want to talk about the fact that they need it, right? It's kind of like when we started Amare 5 years ago, and we started talking about mental wellness, and nobody wanted to talk about mental wellness 5 years ago, and everybody thought it was like, ooh, it's one of those things you kind of keep quiet, you keep to yourself, you keep it under the covers, and there lots of people struggled with depression or anxiety or just plain old variety, garden variety stress and burnout and stuff like that, but nobody wanted to talk about it back then. And now you fast forward to where we are right now, and everybody talks about mental wellness and mental health, and it's front page news, and there's all these celebrities that are front and center with their own mental wellness challenges and everything like that. So it's sort of become mainstream, and I think we're going to see the same exact thing for this. What Ignite focuses on is hormone balance, and if you look at the statistics, it's almost as big a problem as the overall mental wellness challenge that that most people go through. It's probably 40 or 50% of people have hormone balance issues, right? And what does that mean? It means menopause. It means issues with PCOS. It means problems postpartum, whether it's it's mood issues or tension anxiety issues. It's women who have hard periods, PMS issues. It's men who have sexual performance issues, like erectile dysfunction and, things like that. So, I mean, and also just plain old garden variety, lack of desire and lack of sex drive and libido and just people feeling just kind of blah. It's like, I really view the hormone balance piece as a subset or a subcategory of the overall mental wellness umbrella, right? So I'm super excited that we're able to bring this because I think it's going to help tons and tons of people. And we've already seen that. Like you were in the test group, and we had so many people in the test group who and I say this all the time, the best customers for our products are the people who come in and go, well, I don't think I have that issue, but let me try the product, right? And then when your energy comes back and your mood comes back and your desire comes back and your performance comes back, you go, oh, I guess maybe I did have a little bit of an issue. It's the same thing as when your brain fog goes away. A lot of people come back and they go, I didn't even know I had brain fog. And now that it's gone, now I feel amazing and I want to keep feeling amazing. Hormone balance is just another way that we can help people feel and perform at their optimal peak potential.
I love it. And I'm doing an entire series on healthy relationships, healthy marriages, because over 50% of marriages now end up in divorce. Right. It's true. And when I look at what you've created, when you really start to deep dive, when relationships start to get rocky, it starts with how people are handling or not handling stress. Mm-hmm. The stress of raising kids, the stress of, jobs, careers, inflation, like you name it. And our world now is so stressed. And when you're under stress, it affects your hormones. Yep. And I have seen it from when people have children or have babies. And, one of the biggest things that when you start talking to couples is they have no desire.
Right.
They have they're exhausted, they're stressed. And then you get to the, empty nesters. And I hear it over and over, and from friends to people I work with, where it's like, wow, it's a real struggle, and people are embarrassed by it. They don't want to talk about it. But it isn't even just that. What shocked me was the increased energy I felt. The increased energy I saw in my husband, mm-hmm. and even taking my newfound stress resiliency to a whole new level. So let's talk about what the heck is in the Her and the Him product of Ignite. How come I'm feeling this way? Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
Yeah, before we talk about what's in it, let's back up just one step and talk a little bit about like what you were just sort of leading into is the fact that, you know, you were feeling more energy, you were feeling better mood, you were feeling lower stress. And those can be related, those sorts of feelings that we have, those can be related to neurotransmitters, right? Serotonin and dopamine and GABA and those sorts of things. Those can be related to stress hormones, things like cortisol. Those can be related to metabolic hormones, even, you know, things like insulin and thyroid and how your metabolism is running. But then they can also be related to sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and men and women have all three of those. They just have them in different ratios. So you know, sometimes we think of estrogen as a female hormone and testosterone as a male hormone, but men and women both have all of those hormones. They're just in different levels. And so the idea here is we know that stress, we know that aging, we know that poor diet, we know that, you know, our modern lives can interrupt these hormones or imbalance these hormones. And then the question is, all right, we know that they're out of balance, and that's leading us to feel terrible. What if we can rebalance them, you know, get that estrogen, progesterone, testosterone balance back, and like the right balance for female bodies, the right balance for male bodies, and help people feel better. So if that's our objective, then the question is, all right, how can we do that naturally? And that's where we start looking to some of these traditional herbs that have been used in traditional Chinese medicine and traditional Asian medicine and Ayurveda, traditional Indian medicine. And this is what the formula of Ignite is all based on. It's based on using these herbs that we refer to as adaptogens to help your body adapt better to the stress that we're under. And if you adapt better, that means that you can produce the right amount of estrogen and the right amount of testosterone and the right amount of progesterone so that you feel good and you feel like you want to, like you know, your desire is there and your arousal is there and your energy is there. And that's going to be good for, you know, not just for sex, but also for how you interact with people,
right?
How you show up in a given situation. You know, we talk about these hormones all the time when we're talking to elite level athletes that are under the stress of training, and that can lead them to become overtrained, which is the athlete way of describing burnout. So if we can keep those athletes in proper hormone balance, it's good for their physical performance. But, you know, for the rest of us in our everyday lives, if we're not training for the Olympics, keeping our hormones in balance is going to be good for our mental performance as much as our physical performance.
So basically, you are piecing together the puzzle pieces of human health, and having that microbiome in check, neurotransmitters in check, your hormones in check. It all matters. It all reflects off of one another, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and it really is like that. It really is another puzzle piece that we're bringing together, right? The neurotransmitters are a piece of it. The microbiome is a piece of it. Your inflammatory cascade, how inflamed or not inflamed you are, is a piece of it. Your immune system is a piece of it, and your hormones are a piece of it. And so if we can bring all those together, it's not to say that every single person needs to be taking products to balance every single one of those puzzle pieces, but different people are going to have different puzzle pieces that are out of whack. For some it might be the hormones, for some it might be the neurotransmitters, for some it might be the stress hormones, et cetera, et cetera. And so if we can create a portfolio of products that to honestly say to somebody, look, we have something in our cupboard that is going to be the thing for you. Let's help you figure out which one of those solutions is going to be the right natural solution to get you back in balance. Then I think that's going to help a lot of people.
I am so grateful that you do what you do, because I just know that as I'm closing in on 50, closing and not there yet, I got a few more years, but it's coming. I have to say, I just went jet skiing yesterday, and I'm like, I feel amazing. I feel amazing. In fact, I came in all windblown on the last, I did a recording with Mike and Corey Beth, and I'm like, my hair was all over the place, and I just come in, and I'm grandma now, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is how I want to age.
You are the jet skiing grandma. I love it.
Yeah. And it was like wavy out. So like we were just jumping over the waves. It was awesome. So, you know, I was igniting literally out on the lake, but I will say that I love that it is about customizable. Can you speak to how this is different than what's out on the market?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question, because this category, let's call it sexual wellness, right? Just to
Okay.
have a word to call it. Um, is a terrible category in the industry. And what I mean by that is that as a product formulator, it's a category where there's a lot of products that simply don't work, right? There are all kinds of promises that are made, and the ingredients in the products are just completely ineffective, right? So there's an aspect of a lot of these products are just garbage, right? They're not going to live up to their claims. There's another side of this category where some of the products work really, really well because they're adulterated, meaning they're spiked or they're contaminated with synthetic compounds. So there are all sorts of examples of men's sexual performance herbal products that actually are spiked with Viagra or Cialis or something like that, right? So that's, you're going to get an effect, but it's not a natural effect. It's a synthetic effect. There are a lot of side effects. If you don't know that you got a contaminated herb, it can potentially be dangerous for you. So it's an area that is problematic for those reasons. A lot of ineffective products and a lot of adulterated or spiked or contaminated products. So I wanted to come at this category and say, you know what? There are things that we can do that are safe and effective and natural, but we have to be really, really stringent with how we source our herbs and how we control them in terms of the analytical verification. We want to make sure that there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there, but we want to make sure that we have the right levels of bioactives. And so we have to be hyper vigilant in terms of where we're growing these herbs, how we're harvesting them, how we're extracting them, how we're processing them, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very delicate area in terms of getting the right sort of effect for people. And then you have to be a little bit careful in how you talk about it, right? You don't want to just come out and say like, hey, this is the sexy pill, right? It's not really that. It really is about modulating hormones, because if you can do that, it can be good for relationships, and it can be good for sexual performance, but it can also be good for just everyday resilience and energy and being able to prevent that kind of burnout feeling.
Shawn, I think you just hit it on the nail. How can you have a healthy relationship, period? Even in a friendship, when you feel crabby?
Right.
And people feel crabby when they feel like crap, or they're exhausted, or they're tired.
Right.
So to me, it's like one of the greatest things I have found with being healthy is happiness, is why I wore my shirt. Happiness just bounces off of you because you don't feel exhausted and tired and crappy. And
Right.
I think we just need to sprinkle happiness everywhere on this world right now. And I loved aligning with something personally with my own core values, with something that has that footprint, that blueprint of making sure integrity is there. There's no copycatting, and there's no, like hidden fillers or things in there that aren't natural, or, that aren't good for us, or do have side effects. And so I love that at Amare, that is at the forefront, is the integrity of how the products are made.
Yeah. So let me give you an example of that. So one example in the hers version, in the female version of this product called Ignite, one of the sort of feature ingredients is this herb from traditional Indian medicine, Ayurveda, called Shatavari. And we source this from a beautiful little organic farm in India. The women in the village come out and help harvest the plants, and they go to the extractor and they're extracted in a really, really unique way so that we get a full spectrum extract that has all the bioactives that we want. That is something that can help modulate estrogen progesterone levels. And so in traditional Ayurvedic medicine, it's been used for menopausal symptoms. It's been used for menstrual symptoms. It's been used as sort of an anti-aging tonic. It's called, in Ayurveda, it's called the queen of herbs, because it helps with stress, and it helps with everything, basically. It just makes people feel good, especially when they're most stressed out, right? So that sort of alludes to the fact that it's working on this idea of hormone balance. So to get a really good Shatavari, we did a partnership with this little farm in India, and we have an exclusive supply of this beautiful little herb, and that's exactly what is in the female version of Ignite. We did a similar thing with the male version. So the male version has 3 unique herbs, one called cordyceps, one called rhodiola, and one called uricoma or Tongat Ali. Those are all things that are so expensive. One comes from China, one comes from Nepal, and one comes from Malaysia. They're so expensive in those parts of the world. They're more valuable than gold on a gram per gram basis. And because of that, because they're so expensive, they're just ripe for contamination, right? For people to be unethical and say like, oh, here's a barrel of brown powder and it's cordyceps, and it really isn't, right? So we have to analyze, we have to do all of our chemical analysis to make sure that we have the right stuff. But we've partnered with growers in those parts of the world so that we're able to get certified, known, actual herb out of each part of those, each part of those countries. And so that's really important from a quality perspective, but it's really important from an efficacy perspective, right? You want this stuff to be pure, but you want it to be potent enough so that it actually delivers a benefit that people can feel and see and remark on, So, we do that ingredient by ingredient since day one for every product. And it was just really, really important for this product because of all the problems with this particular category, if you will.
Wow. Would you say that this is the world's first product like this?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the first product that's going to really live up to its claims, right? So the claims are that it's going to help with hormone balance, male version, female version, and that it's going to be something that you can, that is remarkable, right? And when I use that word remarkable, I use it in a very specific way, that someone's going to feel something that they need to tell somebody else about, right? They're going to make a remark about it, right? They're going to talk about how they feel. They're going to talk about how they're having a closer connection with their spouse or their significant other. They're going to talk about how in a given situation that used to set them off, now their resilience is better, so it's doing a lot of the same end benefits that some of our original products do in terms of mood and resilience and burnout and things like that, but it's doing it through these pathways in the body, these hormone pathways that are complementary to some of the neurotransmitter pathways that we've been working on with some of the other products.
Wow. So for the her product, if a woman is bloated, has weight gain, they've tried everything, like what are the symptoms that you would see that you'd be like, you know what, I would definitely recommend trying this product?
Yeah. So, the ones that are going to be very sort of stereotypical are going to be the women who are in like perimenopause or menopause, right? Women sort of between the ages of 40 and 60 are going to be the sweet spot, so to speak, for this product, right? These are going to be the women who their hormones are starting to change because they're in that age group. Their estrogen levels are starting to go down. Their progesterone levels are starting to fluctuate. They might be during the time of the month where they should be having their menstrual cycle, they're probably going to be bloated and crampy and just kind of crabby and just maybe even having stress eating and things like that. These herbs, because they can help balance those hormones, can help to alleviate some of those symptoms. We'll also see it for women who have premenstrual syndrome, right? Who have symptoms around painful periods or just feeling not the way you want to feel for a few days out of every cycle. Because of the natural hormone balance, you're going to see benefits there too. We're going to see benefits for women who have gone through a full-term pregnancy and they've delivered a baby, and now they're having trouble getting their hormones back into balance, right? Everybody knows that during pregnancy, your hormones go in complete haywire. If they don't get back into balance, that can lead to some of these mood problems that people would label as postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression. And so this can help because of the hormone balance benefit. We're helping to rebalance all of that. And I think it's important probably at this point, Sarah, to say that, we're not promoting this product as like a treatment for menopause or a treatment for PMS or a treatment for PCOS or any of those sorts of things. But let's talk about what those conditions are. They are at their root, at their heart, They are problems of hormone imbalance. And if we can give you something that naturally rebalances your hormones, you're getting to the underlying problem that is that was labeled as this disease, right? So I always try to get people to reframe this thinking of disease treatment and say, wait a minute, these are just imbalances in your body. Let's get you back into balance and forget about the name of whatever that condition is. If you're in better balance, you're going to feel better, you're going to perform better, you're going to show up better.
Correct. So this is not, or is this a hormone replacement?
Not really. So hormone replacement is a different kettle of fish. So hormone replacement would be a woman taking estrogen, whether it's a synthetic estrogen, or it's a bioidentical, or it's something like that. Same with men who are taking testosterone replacement. They're taking a cream or a patch or something like that. This is not trying to get your body back up to some like artificial level of where you're quote unquote supposed to be. It's about allowing your body to access the hormones that are already on board. And so without getting too much into the details, the way that most of these herbs work is they allow your body to release the hormones that are already inside your body, but have been bound up by these binding hormones. And if they're bound by these binding hormones, your body can't access them. They might as well not be there, but your body has produced them. And so these herbs will facilitate the release of that active hormone from its binding hormone. And that way you're able to access it. So we're not stimulating the body to make any more estrogen or make any more testosterone. So that's a very safe way of getting somebody back in a hormone balance. It's really allowing your body to access what's already on board.
So would you then say it's like helping restore a body to its own normal, natural state of where they should be?
So restoring back to a natural state, or restoring you back to a youthful level might be another way to say it. It's not about giving you more necessarily, like HRT would be, hormone replacement therapy.
Right.
It's really about allowing you to use what you have more efficiently.
Gotcha. Could somebody take this being on a hormone replacement therapy?
Yeah, they might find, if somebody is on hormone replacement therapy and they feel like it's a good thing for them, this might make it even more of a good thing, right? It might even facilitate their body's use of whatever that replacement therapy is. It might also, allow people to not go that direction if they're sort of on the fence of, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? It's one of the things that I actually have advocated for years for people. If you're considering going on hormone replacement therapy, either male hormones or female hormones, try something like this first. Try something that allows your body to do its thing more efficiently before you go to one of those replacement therapies, because this might be enough. This might get you back into that balance zone so that you feel good again, and then you don't have to go to one of those external sources.
Where has this been? Why didn't I have this after I had my babies?
I know.
Why did I have to suffer? Like, come on. I'm just saying, can a nursing mom take this?
Yeah, well, I think a nursing mom might really like to take this, because one of the herbs in the hers version is something called Fenugreek, which can actually help a nursing mom with lactation, with milk production. And again, it's because a lot of the hormone disruption that happens during the course of pregnancy will actually interfere with her milk production after she delivers. And so if those hormones don't bounce back, she might have trouble producing enough milk to feed the baby. So Fenugreek is actually used as what's called, the terminology is called a galactolog, which is something that helps the mom produce more milk for the baby.
Wow, that is awesome news, and I love it.
Isn't it amazing that there are these natural plants out there in the world that if we consume them as part of our diets, or we use them in teas, or we use them in tinctures, or here we use them in supplement form, they can help our body do what it's supposed to do at the right time of life when we need it most. It's absolutely magical.
Shawn, I have thought about so many elderly people I've talked to, grandmas and grandpas over the years, that had these old remedies, right?
Yes.
Of things that they had in their gardens. And I've always been a firm believer that the good Lord gave us what we needed, and we've just overlooked it for a long time.
Yep.
And don't you think too, it's something where it cannot hurt to try. And if it doesn't, then, as the next case, perhaps try something that is more of a synthetic form. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you try something in a more natural state to see that doesn't have side effects,
Right.
that would help the body get to a more natural state? That's just good common sense to me. Like, start there first and then, go somewhere to the next. I do have to say, and I just want to repeat this again, we always recommend here at Amare to talk to, your healthcare providers. I love having a conversation. In fact, my doctor, Dr. Michelle, is coming to spend a week with me this summer. I'm super excited.
You're lucky.
And I know that my doctor's my best friend. But I love that, I can go to her. And so find a doctor who's open to those, more natural things.
Dr. Michelle is not the average doctor, right?
No, she's not.
Yeah, I love people to talk to their healthcare provider too, but with a little asterisk, right? I hope that their healthcare provider is holistic minded, right? And
Amen.
has some training and what these days is called functional medicine, right? The idea of let's get to the root cause of what this problem might be. Is it your hormones? Is it your neurotransmitters? Is there a natural way we can rebalance that? And let's try that first. And then if that doesn't work, then let's look to, an antidepressant or a hormone replacement or, whatever the case may be. But that healthcare provider really should be a partner in helping you determine what's best for your own health and well-being.
I'm so glad that you said that to people. I think that's so important because so often, I know we've been through many, many doctors with Derek's illness, and just even my own health, where when I would ask a question on something natural, it would just be shoved aside. And I do want to educate. I have been educating people. In fact, I'm a huge advocate for that. Like, look, if a healthcare provider isn't going to have that kind of conversation with you, you know what? You hire them. Go find somebody in that functional world that has a medical and functional background, if that's something you want to pursue. So I'm so glad that you said that. Okay. Question on cancer, breast cancer, uterine, ovarian cancer. There's a lot of talk about the estrogen, the hormones and how that affects. Is this something that, a person could take maybe that's already been diagnosed with cancer and going through treatment? Or, where do you see this playing a role with cancer prevention?
Yeah, so there are some forms of cancer, and you just named some of them, that are estrogen sensitive sorts of cancer, right? Mm-hmm. If there's too much estrogen on board, that can help. It doesn't cause the cancer, but it can drive some of the growth of cancer, right? And so some of the chemotherapy drugs, some of the anti-cancer drugs are anti-estrogens, and so they will block the effects of estrogen so that estrogen doesn't cause growth of whatever that cancer is. Breast cancer is as one of the several examples. So the estrogen talk that we're doing here, remember I said we're not causing your body to make more estrogen or testosterone in men's version. We're allowing you to access what's already on board. But one of the ways that happens is with these compounds that are in some of these herbs called phytoestrogens. And so they can actually have an estrogen blocking effect if there's too many estrogens. And so this is one of those adaptogenic concepts. Adaptogens help your body go from low up to normal, and they help you go from high down to normal, right? It's a true balancing effect with these adaptogens. So if somebody is too low in estrogen, these phytoestrogens naturally occurring in the plants can have an estrogenic effect. If you have too much estrogen, they can have an anti-estrogen effect, right? So that's a balancing activity where the phytoestrogens will actually get in there to that estrogen receptor and block too many estrogens from coming in there. So for the scenario that you just described, I think this would be really beneficial for people, whether they're low estrogen like a menopausal person, or high estrogen like one of these cancer situations, or a PCOS or something like that.
And could a person take it if they were going through treatment? I mean, obviously it'd be a conversation with their doctor.
It would really be a conversation with their doctor. One of the things that I get up on my soapbox about this, especially when it comes to cancer therapies, that oncologist, cancer doctor, really wants to know what you're taking. And the reason they want to know what you're taking is so that they can really precisely dial in whatever chemotherapy that they're going to be giving you. So, typically, what'll happen is they'll say, all right, we're going to start with this. We're going to give you your round of chemotherapy is going to look like this. And then based on how you respond to it, we're going to adjust the next one. And based on how you respond to that, we're going to adjust the next one and the next one and the next one. And so a lot of times they want you to be a perfectly clean slate, no supplements, no drugs, standardized diet, the whole thing, so that they know exactly how to tailor the next round and the next round and the next round. So if you are taking natural products, you definitely have to have that conversation, because there are some natural products that can make the chemotherapy agents work better. And your doctor needs to know that so that they can tailor the next round and the next round, so you get the ultimate benefits that you really need.
Okay. And then for somebody who's like in between treatments or just got off of treatments, this perhaps could be something really great for a woman to take.
Yeah. A lot of times what the oncologist will do is say, stop the supplements during this course,
Right.
and then in between courses, absolutely use the supplements, because a lot of the supplements that we're talking about help with energy levels and help with mood and help with brain fog and help with gut integrity and help with hormone balance, like we're talking now, which are all things that can be disrupted by the chemotherapy, right? Those
Right.
chemotherapy drugs are very toxic on purpose, right? We're trying to kill the cancer cells first, but there's all these residual damage that happens to all these other tissues. And if you can bolster those tissues back up again in between each of those, successive rounds of therapy, you're probably going to be able to withstand more and more and more, and therefore have a better overall effect.
This excites me because I had breast cancer run in my family. My mom died from breast cancer. You just what you said, listen, I look at it as, why not take the absolute best care of that, what we can. And if we know that when we're at more normal levels, it doesn't allow that cancer to grow, especially the fast growing cancer, but any cancer.
Right.
And so to me, I'm really excited to see, to have tools to help people with that. That's very exciting. Okay. Last question for women, then we're going to go to men. Teenagers. I mean, I know this is TMI, but hey, I know this is going to help some young girl out there. As a teenager, I was never regular. It was awful. I sometimes was having like almost 2 cycles in a month's time. It was
Right.
awful.
Right.
And then I had a sister who never got hers, and it was awful. Is this something, I mean, a young mom has a teenage daughter whose cycles whacked off like mine used to be. But this is like a sexual wellness product, and they're going to be like,
yeah, exactly.
Do I give
I'm not giving this to my 16-year-old.
So I just want to make sure I'm telling people right. What would you recommend?
Yeah, so this absolutely can be beneficial for girls who are in that situation, right? And here's how I know that, right? When I was working on my PhD, a lot of the work that I did was in bone metabolism, and the subjects that we had in our laboratory were women with what's called oligoamenorrhea. So disrupted cycles, right? So sometimes they would have a perfectly normal 28-day cycle. Sometimes they'd have a 14-day cycle. Sometimes they'd have no cycle whatsoever, right? And so, and it was all caused by, these were very elite level athletes. They were training hard. They were overinflamed. Their stress hormones like cortisol were out of whack. That was causing their reproductive hormones, their estrogen, progesterone, to be out of whack. And so by getting to the root cause of it, figuring out what was happening with their stress hormones, figuring out what was happening with their inflammation, figuring out what was happening with their sex hormones, we could get all that in balance, right? This is that adaptogenic effect I was talking about before. So this would really benefit them in terms of not just their cycles, but it would benefit them in terms of their mood, in terms of their focus, in terms of their energy levels, in terms of their bone metabolism, right? This is a time of life when these young girls should be building their skeletons so that they don't become osteoporotic when they're 70, 80, 90 years old. So there's a lot of like health benefits here that are aside from, the sex hormone benefit in and of itself.
Okay. So I'm just going to call a spade a spade. So you're not making a bunch of young teenagers horny here. You are like helping them.
No. So here, let's have a real conversation about that, right? I don't think anybody should look at Ignite, and I'm pointing to it. I have 2 bottles of it sitting right off screen here. I don't think people should think of it as a horny pill, right?
Correct.
If your sex drive is low, if your libido is low, it will bring it up to normal, right? But it's not going to take a normal libido any higher, right? That is not how an adaptogen works. Remember, it will take you low back to normal and take you high down to normal,
I
no matter
love
what
that.
we
Yeah.
talk about. So that adaptogenic effect is getting you to your sweet spot. And that's what people are stressed out about when they're out of their normal range.
Right.
That's what leads people to
Right.
feel not like themselves. And that is very disconcerting for people. We're trying to get people back into their normal zone.
Yep. What about skin? I know acne can be that hormonal thing for boys and girls. So this can kind of shift now to the him, but
Yeah.
also for girls. Would you recommend, this for a teenager, say, or even somebody, a lot of 20-year-olds struggle with acne, heck,
Yeah.
30-year-olds.
Yeah. So
Would you recommend that?
that's my 20-year-old son right there, who you've met my
Yep.
son. His issue, like his sister who's 23, they will get, like a lot of kids that age, they'll get body acne, right? They'll get acne on their chest, they'll get acne on their back. And now at this time of year, it's, we're going into the
Yeah,
summertime, people
for
want to go out to the
sure.
lake and to the beach and that kind of stuff. And it's stressful for people, you get
Totally.
into your bathing suit and stuff like that. This can absolutely help that, right? Because, we keep going back to the same story. These adaptogenic herbs help you achieve that balance point.
Wow.
And sometimes the hormones start to imbalance during a certain phase of a female cycle. Sometimes they'll unbalance during stress. Sometimes they'll unbalance for a variety of reasons. If you
Wow.
can maintain the body's ability to restore that balance and then maintain that balance, you're going to see benefits across all of these different areas.
Wow. Awesome. Okay, let's talk guys. I don't want to leave out our men. I do not want to leave out our men. I mean, obviously you've already covered the fact of, how it's going to bring a low libido to a normal state. Talk to us about the ingredients in the guys product.
Yeah,
And
there's some really funny stories around some of the guys' products, right? So one of the ingredients is cordyceps, right? Cordyceps in traditional Chinese medicine 3,000 years ago was such a valuable, and I'll say it like this and then explain it. It's such a valuable sexual performance kind of an ingredient. It was reserved only for the emperor and his concubines, right? So it was very much in that lane of sexual performance. And we understand how it works now. I was actually lucky to be on a research team years ago that did some of the original research on cordyceps. And what we found was it can take a low testosterone back up to normal. If your testosterone is suppressed, that's going to get in the way of performance, right? You're not going to feel like you're in the mood. You're going to feel a little bit irritable. You're going to be crabby with everybody. You're not going to be able to perform when you need to perform. And so if you can get that testosterone back up to normal, again, it's not a booster of testosterone, but bring it back up to normal, you're going to feel more like your normal self. So you're going to feel like you're more in the mood. You're going to feel a little friskier. And that's what people experience. That's what they remark on. They go, hey, my mojo is back. They're going to say something like that. But really, it was gone before, and now it's back to normal. It's not any higher than it ever was. It's just back to that youthful level. And so cordyceps can do that. Rhodiola, which is one of the other ingredients, can do that in a little bit of a different way that's more sort of oriented towards stamina and endurance. And then Tongat Ali does almost the same thing that cordyceps does, but it comes from a different part of the world. So cordyceps from China or Nepal, sort of high plateau of that part of Asia. Tongat Ali comes from the Malaysian jungle, but it has the same sort of reputation of being able to take somebody who's a little suppressed and bring them back up to that youthful vigor where most of us want to be. So, really, really nice folklore, but then, now we understand the science behind it of how it works and what tissues it works on and things like that.
wow, these stories of these ingredients are mind blowing.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
this is what I love about them, is that they have these thousands of years of story. And
yeah.
now we're able to apply science to it and say, I wonder why they've been talking about this for 1,000 years. And you can look at
Wow.
it and go, aha, this is what it does. It normalizes testosterone, or it helps with blood flow, or it does whatever. And then we can apply that in a clinical trial and say, really, really, does this really? And then you can see the benefits. You can go, aha, we
Wow.
have something.
Shawn, I've never been like a science person, and working with next to you for the last almost 5 years, you've made me like love science now, because you're right though. It is being able to puzzle piece it all together, and it just makes sense. And it really makes sense when you start to get the results. So like the her product for the him, it's the same thing where with teenagers, it can help balance that skin, the energy, if they're a high performance athlete, to even a lot of the moods.
Right.
So it's amazing how it's just leveling it out. And what I'm hoping that this podcast will do for people is make people aware that these symptoms of like their teenagers or a husband, or, you know, as we're empty nesters, whatever age we're at, we start to look at these things that we, you know, the old saying that, oh, PMS symptoms are just like the norm. No, they're not. I've never believed that. That's not healthy. That's
Right.
not, you know, we made that normal, and I don't want to make crabby normal.
Yeah. Well, it's not normal, right? It's not normal for somebody to feel that way. It's very typical that a lot of
Right.
people feel that way, and they look around and they go, well, everybody else feels this way. I talked to, you know, my wife would say this, right? All the girlfriends talk to each other and they're like, yeah, they all feel this way. They all feel a little bit blah, a little bit off, a little bit not in the mood, a little bit, you like all that, just like, ugh. And everybody else feels that way. So you think it's normal, right? But it's
Correct.
not normal. That is not how we're supposed to be. That's not the optimal state of human well-being, right? But it's
Yeah.
typical because of the lives we lead and the stress we're under, and the, you know, look at what the economy is doing right now. And I just went and
Right.
filled up my car. It cost me like $70 to fill up my little tiny car. And
I
it's
know.
just, I get it. You know, we're all in this together, but if there was some way for us to restore that normal balance so that in the face of all this world that we're in, we're able to show up and be like, yep, I'm going to do my best. And I want my family to do my best and, you know, our
Yes.
best. And that's what we can do.
And when you feel good, you're happier, you're kinder,
Yes.
you're nicer, you can think more clearly, you can have a more normal conversation, whether you're on the same page or not. I feel like all of this, Shawn, that you are doing is just such a gift. You have such a gift from God, and you're using it to the good of mankind. And my only regret is you didn't like produce this 25 years ago.
Well,
Because I went through like a whole lot to get
let me say
here.
this about that real quick. Like, I don't think we could have done this 15 years ago, right? That I
Yeah.
mean, for thousands of years, they've been using these herbs, but I don't think the world was ready for this kind of
I
stuff, right?
agree.
Look at where we are in history right now, right? What we're learning about the microbiome, what we're learning about the gut-brain axis, what we're learning about nutritional psychology, and being able to like, it's just like we're Sarah, you and I are lucky to be living in the time where we are, where we can look at these natural ingredients and apply this really good science at the right moment in time, where we can say, look, this is what everybody is looking for, and we have a solution for them that is guaranteed to work.
You know, Shawn, you just gave me goosebumps, because I feel like we're entrusted with this valuable information that is a gift for all of us. And if
Right.
we don't speak it and proclaim it and share it and shout it out to people, they will not know. That's
100%.
why I feel so passionate. From the moment I met you, from the moment I knew of the vision of Amare, I just knew, even from all the functional doctors I had taken Derek to, I just knew like, this is exactly what's missing. And it's not going to cure everything. It's not going to fix everything. But if you can focus on a person's symptoms, and that's what I want to encourage everyone that's listening to this is, you know, do a check, go through your own health, start with you, then, you know, then turn to your spouse, and then turn to your children, and start to look at, and what if you're hearing some of these symptoms where you're like, gosh, if I could help my kids not be so crabby, or if maybe my husband and I, or my wife and I could really start to talk to one another again, where it's not just, you know, like we all do, or if the kids have all left and you're sad a lot, you know, these are things that we need to start not just talking about, because some people are talking about it. We need to start acting upon them to figure out what is it that's, you know, having us feel this way, and how can we start to feel in that normal state, which can allow us to feel again. And that was the thing when I started with Amare, I remember a few months in, it took time. It did not happen overnight. It took time, but I remember I could start to feel again. I could start to think again. And then I remember seeing one day, like, I feel like I can love again. And
Right.
I realized, like, I can't believe I just said that, but I just said that. So that's why I kind of want to end this, Shawn, is that this is not a quick fix, correct? This is something that, look, it's going to take some time to level out, right? To find that normal balance. Can you talk about the phased benefits of what people can expect?
Yeah, I think so. So these two products, Ignite, are a perfect example of phased benefits. A lot of the products across our product line have phased benefits, where some of the products will help with tension, the day you take them, and then they'll help with your brain fog after a week, and they'll help with your resilience after 2 or 3 weeks, and your overall mood and well-being after a month, right? So that's an example of different phases of mood states, and just the fact that they take different amounts of time to change. You'll see the same thing with Ignite. You'll see people who, like, the early phase mood states, like stress and tension, will be alleviated first. Later stage things like stamina and endurance, that might be a week or two. Sexual performance, right, where you're actually noticing something in the bedroom to, like, really, say it directly, that might be 3 or 4 weeks for a lot of people. But what you'll end up seeing, and we saw this in the test group, people saying, hey, I'm feeling better in these ways, and now I'm feeling better in these other new ways, and now I'm feeling better in these other new ways, right? That example of feeling better and then better and then better, that's what we mean by phased benefits. And so, you'll one of the things I was really encouraged by with the test group that we did was people coming back and saying, I've noticed this in my partner, right? I've noticed that in my partner. So that's an example of you feeling better and being more, like, aware, like having more bandwidth to notice, hey, wait a minute, is my partner, like, are we having a better connection, right? That could be an
Right.
oxytocin sort of a thing. Are we less crabby with each other, less snappy with each other? That could be a stress hormone kind of a thing, like a cortisol. Are we being more romantic? Are we, holding hands more? Are we, that sort of stuff? That could be more of a hormone balance thing, right? So it really is this overall collective rebalancing of the whole hormone cascade.
I love it. And you piece together what's called the happy hormone pack. Can you
Yes.
just speak to that? Because I think that's a great place that, for those that are listening, like, where do I start? Can you just speak very quickly to the happy hormone pack?
Yeah, we wanted to put this together to give people not a shotgun approach. It's not that, but, like, one of the problems with mood state modulation, helping people feel better again, is that you don't always know, or you sometimes never know, is it my hormones that need adjusting? Is it my neurotransmitters that need adjusting? Is it my stress hormones that need adjusting? And so what we wanted to do is this happy hormone pack is put together some of our key products that really shine in each of those areas. So somebody can get a pack and we'll guarantee that they're going to feel better with this pack, because it's working on your neurotransmitters, and it's working on your stress hormones, and it's working on your sex hormones. And some of that is going to be the thing that's out of balance for you, no matter who you are. And so this is guaranteed to help you feel better right out of the gate, without having to sort of, overthink it too much about, like, should I work on this or should I work on that? We're allowing people to work on all of it across the board.
Derek and I are on both of it. And I'm just telling you, yes, I had kids young, and yes, I'm a young grandma. So I will be honest about that, but I have so many people that have commented, and Derek's been through 8 surgeries in his head, 2 brain surgeries, and people look at both of us, and I love it. It's very complimentary, and people are like, wow, you guys look so healthy. Because I look at the stress I've had to live under, that he's had to live under with his disease. And Derek's like, you know what? Because he's going to be turning 50 this year. And he's like, 40s are crap for him. Crap. But he's like, 50s are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Shawn, I just want to thank you, because I feel like I've been given my life back, and I want to help so many people now, because there is more to life, and there is happiness even in chaos. And the
Right.
world is in chaos right now. And I have lived it. I have lived the chaos for a long time, and I'm smiling through it. And Shawn, I truly believe you are like a servant of the land and the servant of nutrition. And you're just taking what the good Lord gave us and you're figuring it out through science. And I can't wait to see what else you're working on. Because every time, I don't know, it's like it's getting better. Like every time it's like, this was amazing. And then this was amazing. And then this was amazing. So God bless you for your time. I know you're a very busy man. Any parting words you want to say before you leave us?
I would just encourage people to give it a shot. Like, you know, like I said earlier, it's the coolest thing about studying mood state, psychological mood state, is that person who doesn't think that they need it. And then they try it and then they go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I feel so much better on this side of using this product versus the other side before I started using the product. That's the coolest thing, because we sort of normalize how we're feeling. And we just think like, oh, I guess this is how I'm supposed to feel. I guess I'm supposed to be fatigued, and I guess I'm supposed to feel brain foggy, and I guess I'm supposed to feel achy. And I guess if I'm going to be 50 this year or whatever the case may be, I guess this is how it is. And I like people to realize what's on the other side of that and go, oh my gosh, because it really opens their mind to the possibilities of what's ahead of them. Right. And there's a lot of wonderful stuff out there.
Absolutely. And you've given my husband, has daily symptoms from his disease, it brings him down such a notch that he's able to have more quality of life.
Right.
So wherever a person is at, as my husband always said, boy, if you can increase a person's quality of life, even by like 20-25%, no matter what they're going through, Shawn, that is saving lives.
Changes everything.
It does, because so many people are so miserable with whatever they've got going on that they don't see a way out and often take their lives. And so I look at it like this needs to, I'm going to promote the heck out of this. I'm so excited. Shawn, thank you for your time. We love you. I'm sure we have a bazillion more questions for you. So I'll have you back on.
All right. Always great to see you, Sarah.
All right. Thanks, Shawn.
Bye-bye.
You're awesome.